OSCE SMM activity and the security situation in Ukraine. Our speaker is Alexander Hag, Deputy Chief Monitor of the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission in Ukraine.
Good day, everyone. I'm very pleased to be back here at the Ukrainian Crisis Media Center for the regular briefing by the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission to Ukraine. A few hours ago, I returned from Minsk together with the Chief Monitor, Ambassador Apakan. There we attended a meeting of the Trilateral Contact Group to inaugurate the activities of the working groups. The Chief Monitor will be coordinating the work of the Security Working Group. The Security Working Group agreed yesterday that priority should be given to two documents until the next meeting, and that is a document on disengagement in Shirokine and an initiative by the Joint Center for Control and Coordination on the withdrawal of tanks and mortars smaller than 100 millimeter in caliber. Other topics of this working group will be the ceasefire, the withdrawal of heavy weapon, and most importantly, the access of the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission to those areas to enable it to verify and monitor the progress by the sides in implementing the provisions of the Minsk arrangements. All members of the Security Working Group agreed that the next meeting will be held on the 19th of May in Ukraine. Over the past few days, we continue to monitor and report on a deteriorating security situation in eastern Ukraine. While the ceasefire is largely holding, the hotspots remain active. The situation around the Donetsk airport and in the Donetsk region in general remain unpredictable and volatile, and the recent surge of violence has also claimed civilian and military lives. Fighting continued and, more worryingly, intensified in hotspots along the contact line, especially at around the Donetsk airport and in Shirokine. During the last week, the SMN heard several hundreds of incoming and outgoing rounds each day while monitoring the situation around the Donetsk airport. And significantly, on the 2nd of May in Donetsk city, outgoing Grad rocket fire was heard and recalled memories when just firing in the past has led to retaliatory fire causing civilian casualties. Now I have to point to the importance of these findings. This is one of the first times that we have heard Grad rocket fire since the second package of the Minsk arrangements mid-February has been agreed. While on the 25th of April, the mission observed craters consistent with Grad shelling in Khranitny. The use of multi-launch rocket systems by the so-called DPR and the use by all sides of 120 millimeter mortar, tanks and heavy artillery, including 152 millimeter artillery devices, are alarming. Over the past week in Shirokine, the Special Monitoring Mission experienced only limited access, and its continued effort to achieve a local ceasefire was only limited. Thus, the mission was only able to access the village on a few occasions. Heavy shelling on a daily basis, as well as an increased presence of military movements, were recorded in the area. Regrettably, fighting has spread beyond these hotspots with incidents occurring along the contact lines in places which had enjoyed relative calm in the past 3 months. In many respects, the humanitarian situation continues to deteriorate in areas near the contact line, and in particular with respect to access to medical services. Limited progress was observed during this week regarding the implementation of other measures under the Minsk arrangements. And despite claims by all sides of heavy weapons withdrawal, the mission observed on a daily basis the presence and/or the use of such weapons across the contact line. In fact, the mission observed on a daily basis a so-called LPR site where heavy weapons are being prepared for the planned event on May 9th in Luhansk city. Meanwhile, the verification of withdrawal of weapons and the monitoring of holding areas continued to be a challenge for the mission. Freedom of movement of the mission was also restricted in areas outside the government-controlled, but also in government-controlled areas. This week, the mission, as usual, has a course running for new arriving monitors, and we trained this week 15 new monitors. This now brings the number of our monitors to 476 across the mission areas. A reminder that 2/3 of those are based in eastern Ukraine, and with our national colleagues, together with our international staff, the mission now has a total staff strength of 752 mission members. As you know, the Chief Monitor, Ambassador Apakan, has announced at his last address to the Permanent Council in Vienna that the mission will expand its capacity and its strength to 600 monitors until the summer. This week, in addition to the training that the mission members go regularly through when they come into the mission will offer training to its mission members in monitoring the withdrawal of weapons, and this training is being provided by German experts here in Kiev. This is it for my briefing today, and I'm now available to questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hook. А якщо є питання, колеги, прошу задавати.
If you have any questions, please ask them. Olga Kostyniuk, Channel 112. Previously, OSCE mission was saying that demilitarization in Shirokina is taking place, but you are saying that the situation is getting aggravated. Do you still believe that demilitarization in Shirokina is needed, and also the militants are increasing their forces? Could that be the offense? Or maybe that is the forecast of aggravation of the situation on the 9th of May. What you can say about that, and how mission can influence that situation, and how can you act in such a situation?
Thank you for the question. Indeed, the mission has registered an increase in violence over the past days. In particular, a week ago, or almost a week ago on Sunday, the mission itself was subject to 3 serious incidents, one of which occurred in Shirokin itself, where a patrol car was hit by a bullet, and then 2 incidents in and around the airport of Donetsk, one in Pisky and the other one in Avdiivka. As I have briefed you earlier, the plan for disengagement that is being devised by the Joint Center for Control and Coordination is about to be finalized, and the mission is supporting the sites in disengaging from Shirokini. But it's very clear the responsibility of the 2 sides to finalize the plan. The mission is there to accompany and support the sites, as well as monitoring any implementation of such a plan should it materialize. Disengagement is the only option to find a peaceful solution to the situation in Shirokine, but overall to the tense situation along the almost 500-kilometer long contact line stretching all along the area not controlled by the government. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And next question.
Hello, Yelena Savchuk, Press TV. Could you please tell us more about other subgroups? Will OSCE representatives participate in other subgroups as well? And also, do you have information whether pro-Russian militants also have picked, chose their representatives in those subgroups? Thanks.
Thank you. I can only report of the working group I was in, which was the security working group. And in that group, the chairman or the coordinator is Ambassador Apakan, the head of the mission. All other working groups do have a coordinator that have the link back to the OSCE itself as an organization, not necessarily to the mission. And as you know, Ambassador Tagliavini is the special representative of the OSCE chairman in office, Minister Dacic from Serbia, and she herself is an OSCE representative, as a representative of the organization as such. The field operation, the OSCE mission here, is part of that organization as such. And within the working group on security, there were representatives of the so-called DPR and so-called LPR present.
Thank you very much. Чи є запитання? Прошу.
Any other questions?
Is there access to the border between Ukraine and Russia, and are you available to get there on the border to control it, to patrol? And will you have regular access point, monitoring points at Shirokino and Donetsk airport, as President advised previously? Thank you.
Thank you. Very briefly on the access to the border, we had until recently irregular, but nonetheless we had access to some of the border crossings, in particular the international border crossings. However, also in the past 10 days or so, this significantly changed, in particular at the border in the Luhansk Oblast, where we had zero access over the past reporting period. Access to the border in the Donetsk Oblast is still possible, in particular at the official border crossings, such as the Novoazovsk crossing between Ukraine and the Russian Federation. With regard to your second question on the permanent presences of the mission, as mentioned by the President of Ukraine and the Normandy format, we have shown that in Shirokine the mission is able and willing and committed to such presences, but the incidents, in particular the one last Sunday where our patrol has been shot at, there was a bullet hole in the car, just to be very specific, shows that the sides have not yet disengaged and have not yet enabled the mission to establish itself safely in these areas. We are available. We have shown that we are able to be present in Shirokine. As you recall, we have done an overnight patrol between the 17th and 18th of April this year. Our commitment is there. It is now up to the sides to implement to what they have agreed to in Minsk, that is to disengage, to hold the fire and to withdraw their weapons. We are willing to accompany this process, but without their commitment, ours will be exposed to too much risks. Thank you.
Thank you. Чи є ще запитання?
Any other questions? I'm here. My question is, you have not specified, do you register increase of heavy weaponry on the territories which are controlled by so-called DNR?
We have seen an increase of the usage of heavy weapons by both sides, and more worryingly, we have seen craters that suggest the usage of multi-launch rocket systems, Grad systems in Hranitne at the end of April, and on the 2nd of May we have heard outgoing Grad rockets being fired from within the city boundaries of Donetsk. and that is in itself a worrying development, combined with the usage of heavy mortar and artillery by both sides in these hotspots over the past period of at least 10 days.
Наступне запитання, прошу. Якщо є ще чи уточнення, можливо.
Any other clarification questions once you have no more questions?
Thank you.
And we expect you sometime soon with more news. Дякую.